Hey everyone, welcome to Geek Rant. It's Greg again on the channel with Toby, and tonight we're going to be talking about episode 3 of the Rings of Power. Okay, thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to be talking about the third episode of the Rings of Power. We're a couple of days behind here trying to get this one reviewed. We had some other bits that sort of came up and we jumped on.
D23 being some of it. So what did you think?
What did I think? Well,
Yeah.
I am I'm still struggling with storyline and character development side of things.
Yeah.
I
Morfydd
do,
Clark as Galadriel.
yes.
You can't get over this one. It's
No,
there in your face. And I personally am trying so hard to
I
like her.
know.
But every time I try and like her, she's rude to somebody, or she's like stubborn, or she wants to stab somebody, or it's like
Yeah.
so unelf like. She's
Yes.
not majestic or
No.
elegant or
No. When you compare
superhuman.
her to Galadriel in the original films, she was
Oh yeah,
serene, wasn't she?
no
She was in
comparison.
control, and it is just, you're absolutely right. Even when she was talking to Howard, and he said, "Well, let's not be so antagonistic and let's not, fight with them." And then she's just gone straight into, "Yeah, fuck you. The elves gave you this place, and all this sort of
Yeah,
thing." I'm thinking, boys, she
I
she's
know.
she's not portraying it very well, is she? And even when there are moments where you think, oh, she's trying to emote. I mean, there was a bit which I just was like, when she was riding the horse. I don't know if
Yeah,
you remember, there was this image of her face in slow motion,
yeah,
and I mean, she looked like someone completely different, didn't she?
yeah.
It was
Unfortunately, she was smiling, and I think she's one of these people that doesn't have a very confident smile. It's
no,
not natural, and the look was almost a grimace. It was so unfortunate.
yeah,
They slow mode it as well,
yeah, they did. I know.
and
I felt a bit
I
sorry
saw
for
that
her
and just
really because
oh yeah, me
but
too.
she's the character is becoming so unlikable, and I was wowed by the effects. I thought when they first came into the city, and they came to Numenor,
Yeah,
I was really wowed by all the effect of that and how they did all that when you panned out. And it wasn't just a quick 2 seconds, it was a proper looking around. You could see the size of this place and how
yeah,
ancient it looked, and the graphics were really good. I was really impressed. There was a bit where they
yeah,
went up to that top section where the main sort of hall and the tree and all that sort of thing was. I was like, wow, that's really good. They've
yeah,
really done that so well. And yet, then all the sets, walking around, they spent a fortune on all the sets and all these things, and it looks fantastic. I've been really
yeah,
pleased with the imagery and most of the props and the things like that they've been using. Only now and then I think, oh, the armor looks a bit odd or it looks a bit, but they've really sort of gone to town on that side of things. And the music's all right. It kind of ties in with the original,
yeah,
Peter Jackson stuff, but it's got its own little flavor, which is nice. It's just the acting by mainly by Galadriel. There was
yeah,
so much of her in this episode. It kind of turned me off a bit, unfortunately.
yeah.
I don't want to be so negative
The
about her, but it's
No,
just
I don't
just
think the guy playing Halbrand is great either. I thought that
no,
he was okay, but his
yeah,
character is obviously got some sort of extreme character arc, isn't it?
yeah,
And he's saying to her, "Let's be peaceful,
yeah,
and let's try and integrate and try and
yeah,
work our way up in a sensible manner."
yeah,
And then the next thing we find is Halbrand has got a plan. He's
yeah,
going to steal one of the
yeah,
guild badges off
yeah.
this poor guy.
Yeah,
He does so.
I mean, they obviously they can't. They're not allowed to do any
They're not
smithing
allowed to
unless
work.
they're
He wants
part
to
of the
live there, doesn't
guild.
he? I think he
He wants
wants
to
to
live
live
there.
there, doesn't he?
It's like,
Yeah. Anyway, he then steals this thing,
Yeah.
and then he gets into a fight, goes rabid,
Yeah.
kills, attacks 4 people, but the guard then come and get him. And it's
It
kind of
was
like,
totally ridiculous, wasn't it? That
it was like,
exactly what
what?
you're saying at the beginning of that. He's saying, "Let's all be nice. This could be a future for me here." You know,
Yeah,
he's portraying that he wants to get on with them, and the next minute he's gone crazy, hasn't he, with killing these guys? And it was a bit like, well, you're only going to get caught, aren't you, and put in prison?
yeah,
What the hell?
yeah. I
It,
mean, there's no way that he's going to get away with what he was
no,
planning there. So
no.
that was weird.
But they still let her go and see him while he's in the jail. I didn't get that either. Why would they let her go and see him
Wonder
and
whether she
talk to him and say,
she
"Well, we're
crept
going to
in there or something.
kind of
I don't
come
know.
away with me, come away." He's in prison now. He probably, when he smashed that guy's head against the wall, he probably killed the guy.
And broke the guy's arm.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, really snapped that one,
There were
didn't
some
he?
gruesome bits in this, actually.
Yeah, yeah,
The slashing of throats, wasn't there? And
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. Elendil, I thought
yeah.
was quite good.
Yes, yeah. I thought he was quite good as well. I
I
thought
thought he
he
was
held it together a
noble.
bit better.
He he,
Yeah,
he was noble. He had
yeah,
some stupid lines, unfortunately,
yeah, yeah,
in it. That some of the
yeah.
text, some of the script is really poor, and he's a bit of a Galadriel fanboy, isn't he? And
Yeah.
um,
I think that's because the Numenorians, they're kind of in two camps. There's
yeah,
those that are the faithful who um, still have, well, I suppose they're still honest and they still want to be friends with the Valar. And then there's the king's side, who are going against it, and that's why. And he's kind of from that side, isn't he? They said, "Oh, you're from the
yeah.
western side of the island," and all that sort of thing. And
Muriel, Queen Regent Muriel
yeah,
she's gonna go towards the other side, though.
that's right. That's right.
So
But
there's a lot. There's a lot of undercurrents that people know
yes,
about, and they're watching for these
yes,
characters. It's a bit
yeah,
unfortunate, really, because we know the story is known, and people are watching for particular ways that people are acting, and I
yeah,
think it's put extra pressure on them. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
taking on Galadriel, for example, was always going to be a hot cake, wasn't it? And you really had to nail
yeah,
it because
yeah.
it was done so well in the films, and then
Yes,
you know, it's a shame.
it
But
is. It is.
we see Isildur, don't we?
Isildur. Yeah, yeah,
Isildur, I think he looks like quite a good character. That'll be interesting
yeah,
to see his
yeah. He didn't have a
rise.
lot to do, did he? But he
No,
could be all right. Isildur is the one that cuts the ring from Sauron's
that great
hand.
scene in the
Yeah,
beginning of the
yeah,
first film.
exactly.
It is so good.
Um, so he's obviously has a really, and then takes the ring, doesn't he, and
Yeah,
rules, sort of, is it Gondor? I suppose it's Gondor.
yeah, it is. Yeah,
And but then he comes to a bad fate as well, doesn't he? So
yeah,
they all pretty much do, don't they? A lot of these
yeah,
these people.
yeah,
But yeah, he was fine. I didn't like the bit where they kept going, "Oh, the sea knows" or something, or the sea's always right or something.
yeah.
I thought that bit was a bit weird, a bit odd.
Yeah.
It's like they keep saying this.
Well, they're an
Um,
island, aren't they? They're an island people,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
they
But
kind
we
of
are
live.
too. We live in
Yeah,
Great Britain. It's not.
yeah. And there are some similarities there, but
Yes.
they do seem to keep telling us that. Which, yeah, we
Yeah.
get the idea. We get the idea.
Yeah.
But
The other storyline was Arondir and him being captured
mm,
by these orcs. I presume they're
yeah,
orcs.
light,
And
sensitive orcs.
yes,
They're
yes,
very pale skin, aren't they?
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
And he's been put in this camp to basically help dig this big. Now, this is the
yeah,
thing I was trying to work out.
yeah.
I thought they were
There's some
digging
big questions
tunnels.
here.
I
Yeah,
thought they
yeah,
were digging some tunnels under the ground, but it looked
yeah.
like they were just digging a big trench
Trench. It was
and
trench
then put
warfare, wasn't it? Almost.
and then putting canopies over the
Yeah,
top of it, which
I
you would
know.
have thought the
Just dig
elves.
tunnels. Just dig tunnels. It would be easier.
You think the elves would have noticed that, wouldn't you? The ones that were
Yeah,
protecting the land, that
yeah,
that wasn't like an afternoon's work that they did.
No.
And so I found that a bit odd, that they weren't actually digging them as tunnels. If they were digging as tunnels, then I don't know. But then it would take flipping ever, wouldn't it? But
And they were digging that tunnel as well, and they were digging it directly towards that massive tree, weren't they?
yes,
They could have
yes,
originally just slightly detoured it a little bit, a
yeah,
bit of an
yeah. Because
angle, would
you
have
see a
taken it
you
around
see
the
a panned
tree.
out view, don't you? You see a panned out view, and there's no other trees around. There's one big tree
Yeah.
at the very beginning of this trench, and it's like, why didn't you just go?
Yeah.
But then they forced him to cut the tree down, and
Yeah,
this,
the watch warden refuses to do it,
yeah,
and Arondir says he will do it because he doesn't want his mates killed, does he?
no,
And he's actually very silent in this. I was a little bit disappointed with his part in this. Before I thought he
yeah,
had more agency, but now he was just a bit wet. I thought I didn't feel he
yeah.
contributed much. There
He
was a
didn't
bit
have
where
a
he
lot.
jumped up and cut the thing down, didn't he? But
Yes, yeah,
mm,
yeah. The fight scene was okay. It was
yeah,
them
I thought it was all right.
trying to escape was okay. All this sort of trailing the chains around, I got a little bit like when he started trying to chain up the warg and things like that. I thought it was a bit, but
Yeah.
they've got to come up with some new ideas, haven't they? I
That
suppose.
that
You got to.
warg that warg was weird, wasn't it? It looked like a kind of rabid Sonic the Hedgehog. Do you notice
It
that
did.
it had this weird
It was
look?
it was cartoony character,
It
wasn't it?
was,
It
yeah,
really was. When you looked at his eyes were like really sort of bulbousy, weren't they? And a bit
all over the
weird.
place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a little bit yeah, but maybe that's what they look like. But
could be. We had a little bit of the half-foots, didn't we?
yes,
A little bit
yes.
extra, but
I
they're
was
just
trying to
pushing that
forget about
along a
that.
little bit, pushing that along a little bit. I mean, I still like Norrie, the character, and
Yeah,
the actress who plays
yeah.
Markula Kavanagh. I think she's I think she's the best actress in this,
Do
or the
you?
best
That's
actor in this. I
interesting.
do. I think
Yeah.
she's really nailed it, and you know, they're writing the history, the cultural story of the Harfords, because obviously they're
Yes.
made up. And one of the things they do is they leave people behind if they can't keep up with the
Yeah.
caravan.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's to me at the time when I was watching, I was thinking, well, that's just a bit unnecessary, isn't it? Just all pulled together.
It's a
Really,
bit unnecessary.
and then suddenly out the back of their van jumps
Yeah.
the big old grey wizard.
Yeah.
And no wonder they couldn't pull the blooming carriage if he was in the back. I mean, it was so stupid, wasn't it? And they're obviously
Yeah, they're
like
struggling
looking up at
along.
him. Hang on a
Well,
minute.
well, I mean, there was a
What
whole
could he do?
storyline, wasn't it? That the dad he had hurt his back,
Yeah.
and so they were worried
his
about being left
ankle, wasn't it?
behind.
Yeah.
And so that was the point of him. He's now going to help them, isn't he? Move along. I had wondered whether this was going to become like the beginning of the Hobbits, in that they couldn't carry on with the because they migrate,
They're migratory, aren't they? Yeah.
it's a migratory thing. Well, the Hobbits don't, do they? I
No.
wondered whether these guys, Norrie and her family, were going to become like the beginning of, they're going to set themselves up somewhere, stay there, sort of stay there and become the origins of the Shire.
I mean, I like the theory. I like that theory that these are
that
the
they
first
couldn't come
hobbits.
on, so they thought, screw it, let's build some houses in the ground and let's stay here. So I wondered if that was going to be, but then they've kind of said, oh well, the stranger, I don't know if it is Gandalf, but Gandalf, he's he's helping them push the carts along, and I'm like that about the Hobbit bit.
Yeah, I mean, well, I enjoy. I'm looking at the individual characters, and out of all of them, I do like Norrie as a character. I like the way she's dealing with this stranger. I find, if you pair up couples, you could pick the most odd couples, you pair them up and start writing them like this wizard.
It's not the
Norrie.
worst part of the show.
I quite
it's definitely
like that.
It's definitely not the worst part of the show. You know, we know what that is, but um,
Yeah.
well, there also wasn't any of Elrond and the dwarves, you know,
Yes,
Durin
they
or
completely
any of
left it
those
out
sorts of
that
things.
time, didn't they?
They
And that
did. They
makes me
completely
wonder
left
whether
it
they've
out.
got any storyline that they can do with them. I wonder, it's just a bit short, isn't it? Because
I was trying to
they
remember what happened at the end with them, because they then became kind of friends again, didn't they? Durin
yeah
and they were going to then sort of talk about building this tower and, you know,
yeah they got
and
all the
create a
blueprint out, didn't
furnace.
they? And then
Yeah, yeah.
yeah
You know, they could have had a lot more about that, because then also it would be progressing the rings of power. You know, um,
yeah that
but
clues in the name. Yeah,
clearly Halbrand is going to be the one that comes across and teach, because he's saying, I'm the best, you know, at smithing
yeah,
you're ever gonna find. So he's obviously got to make his way back to Middle Earth and get involved in that side of things, you know.
yeah. That's going to be
It's
interesting.
I just don't know whether we've had 3 hours now of and that was 70 minutes, that episode.
Yeah,
um I'm just sort of thinking, does it feel like we've progressed the story very far? And I know you've got to have character development.
mm,
I do, but I'm talking about, there hasn't been that much character development, you know.
yeah,
Galadriel's just a miserable cow. We met Elendil. I quite liked him. I quite, like we said, I quite thought he was
yeah.
quite good.
Quite
Um,
stoic.
but not a lot, you know. Yeah, we saw
Isildur,
in that
Halbrand.
camp.
We've got some made up characters, haven't we? That
Yeah,
they've added in to try and
yeah.
bolster the content a bit. It almost feels like, why do they need to do that? And it's partly because they've said, right, 5 series we're going to do it. So they've got
Yeah,
to pad it out with stuff, haven't they? They could have just done
yeah.
say, a couple, and everybody would have loved it if they've been
I
loyal to the
suppose.
context. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose Galadriel did go to the was it a library or
Yeah, that
a
was probably
law
one of the best
court or
bits in the
something?
sense
That was a
seeing that.
that was a bit better. They were
It was a little bit. It's
progressing
good.
things a
I
little
like the
bit.
room. I like the room.
Yeah, I
But
like
they
the room.
found
I
this
thought,
note which has been hanging around for like 100 years, and that with a message on it that
yeah,
that Sauron has set up a base. He wants to set
yeah,
up base in Mount Doom. You know, So in
yeah.
Mordor,
I did think, with all
that's a
those
bit weird.
scrolls and all that paper and all everything, they did find that quite quickly, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
This
Yeah,
the
convenience. Yeah, there definitely was convenience to it.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We wanted it to be a bit stronger. We wanted Galadriel to be a little bit more
Well,
believable.
like a person,
Yeah,
yeah,
we
like
want
a real
believable.
character, you know.
Yeah, or
She just
like a
seems
real
miserable all
elf.
the time.
Put it that
Like
way.
a real elf, yeah.
Yeah,
She just
but
seems too
no.
miserable
Oh,
and wants to just
I've
fight
seen her in
everything.
a. I've seen Morphy Clark in Saint Maud, I think it was another film she was in, and she was
Right.
miserable in that. I mean, that was a miserable film. I mean,
Was it?
yeah. I mean,
Brilliant.
she's
Yeah,
nominated for Best
I've not seen her
Actress,
in anything
the
before,
British
but
Independent Film Awards for that particular role. But I mean, my God, it was depressing. You'd have, I
yeah.
mean, so she's really good at playing these depressing roles, but I don't know whether that's what we needed for
Yeah.
this ethereal character.
Like I was saying earlier, there was some great visuals, some great bits
Yeah.
to it, you know, but it's not about the actual storyline. Then it's not about the actual character development, you know. That's the shame of
Mm,
it.
mm,
They've got some great visuals, which, you know, with just some better, you
mm,
know, it's just, yeah,
mm.
bit of a shame, bit of a shame. Okay, well, thanks for watching tonight. We want this to develop. You know, we like Lord of the Rings. We want this to develop, and hopefully, the next couple of episodes will get a bit more action, a bit more movement, and what we want to move forward with the storyline. So, yeah, fingers crossed. Anyway, if you like what we're saying, obviously, please subscribe and leave us any comments or press the like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Otherwise, we'll see you again soon.